Hi, welcome to Beyond Politics. I'm Catherine Clark. Manitoba Conservative MP Joyce Bateman put herself through the University of Western Ontario by playing for the London Symphony Orchestra. She came from a family that placed a high premium on education, so she finished her degree in business and became a chartered accountant before deciding to move back to Manitoba. She served for many years as a school trustee before deciding to throw her hat into the federal ring. She has 2 children, a very supportive husband, and also a very active life beyond politics. She joins me now. Joyce Bateman, welcome to Beyond Politics. It's really great to have you here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure.
You know, you came in this morning and we were joking about makeup and hair and such, and then you revealed that you've actually just come out of the pool, which I think is really, that's pretty impressive that with a schedule like you have, every morning you're still going and swimming. Is that a regular routine for you?
Oh yes, yeah. It just keeps you sane, keeps you breathing, and half an hour every morning in the pool. Except sometimes Wednesday with caucus. I've been known to miss a Wednesday.
Wow. So when did you start swimming?
Oh, when I was a little girl. You know, we always went to the beach cottage when I was a kid, and I'm from Manitoba. You know, the lakes are so wonderful, and we always were told by my mom and dad that our job was to become really good swimmers so we could save them. And I thought that was a really good framework, and I've used that on my children.
Have you really?
Yeah, and actually I taught swimming when I was in high school.
Wow.
And so it was just something that was a natural for me to slide back into.
Do you find it something that brings you peace before a busy day begins?
It's almost meditative, you know, and the reflection that you're just doing nothing but going back and forth. Yeah. And thinking about whatever you want to or not thinking. Right. It's quite wonderful.
And no one can talk to you.
Well, there you have it.
No one can tell you anything or give you the latest news story or anything like that.
Yeah, I did take a few years off, I have to confess, because I remember swimming. I always used to go for 45 laps in the morning.
45 laps?
On my way to work.
Okay.
And then I almost threw up in the pool.
Oh.
Because I have morning sickness 20 years ago,
oh.
and well, I guess almost 21 now. And it was funny because you make friends wherever you go in life. And
you thought maybe throwing up in the pool wouldn't be a good thing for friends?
Wouldn't be a good thing for my wonderful colleagues who did laps in the morning with me. So I kind of took a few years off, but here it's very possible. So.
I think you'll be forgiven for that. I think they would be grateful for you. What's your favorite swim? I mean, do you do a breaststroke or do you do a...
Breaststroke, backstroke, front crawl. Breaststroke, backstroke, front crawl.
So you
got my routine.
You just change as you go. Like you do a couple laps of this and then a couple laps of...
Yeah.
Wow.
4-4-4.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a system.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good.
If you
So tell me about when you were a little girl. You said you grew up around the water a lot. Did you have a cottage that you were going to, or were you living in a more rural area of Manitoba?
No, I came from Winnipeg, and we always, went to the summer cottage.
Right.
It was a fabulous little place. You know, we have the fondest memories of it. And when you think back and you actually explain it to your children, you realize you had no indoor plumbing. You had to haul water from the local pump. You like all of these things, and it was just
for the cottage, right?
Yeah, it was just the most wonderful experience in the world.
Well,
it was
when
such
you
fun.
Explain that wonderful feeling, do they actually look at you like you're crazy, or?
Well, I've done it a few times,
yeah.
so they're getting used to me now.
Yeah.
But it was I was very privileged because I had parents who really cared about education,
right.
And there wasn't ever money for frivolous things. But if you wanted to take violin lessons, or if you wanted to take anything that had anything to do with learning, there was always money for that. Wow. And I think that's my mom's Scottish ancestry. They valued, she was a first generation Canadian, as was my father from England, and they valued education so much. They just valued that. So I hope I've transmitted their wonderful belief system to my children too.
What were your parents like?
Oh, they're fabulous. I've still got my dad.
Oh,
He's
that's
92
nice.
and 3/4 and wonderful.
Wow.
And I feel like I still have my mom because she's with me every day.
Yeah.
But the education thing, my dad's an engineer, and my mother was an actuarial scientist who graduated years ago, and
In Canada or
in Canada.
okay.
Yeah, in
Right.
Canada. And I think that speaks volumes to the fact that her mother so valued education.
Absolutely.
And that was incredible, you know. So
And unusual, I'd have to imagine
yeah.
at the time.
yeah, and I always remember my mom saying, education is light baggage to carry. And I know with my children, or just from being a school trustee, a lot of young people have asked me, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up, and I'm feeling so much pressure, and I really don't know. And I always say what my mom told me, that education is light baggage to carry, and you know, there's nothing wrong with learning lots of things, and you never know where it's going to take you.
Absolutely.
You never know. So
How did your mom and dad meet?
they met. Interestingly enough, my father had taken a few years off school, and he was working
So
on...
he was finding the educational baggage a little heavy?
Oh,
at the
he
time?
was. I think 16 years old.
Okay.
He was out working for a bank, and then he was
Right.
out working on farms, and part of a threshing. You know, like you gather up
Wow.
lots of people in the fall, and he had a lot of jobs. But he went back to, in those days, United College.
Yes.
It's now University of Winnipeg, to get his grade 12 so he could go to university.
Right.
And he met my mother, who was, of course, in third year university at the time, and she was the makeup artist for the play, and he had a role,
Wow.
so it was kind of fun.
That's
So,
really great.
Yeah.
And did he go back and complete?
Oh,
his-
yes,
He did that.
yes,
And he
yeah.
became an engineer.
yeah, he became an engineer, and I think that's why my big brother was so smart, because he read his thesis, his master's thesis, to him when he was a baby,
Oh.
because you do what you got to do. And so that's how they started. And you know, it's interesting. My mom was so proud that they both had a graduation picture, and I remember her putting them both up when we were, you know, just. I guess I was the youngest of the family, so I wasn't quite a teenager, but the other kids were. And she always said there were going to be 3 more pictures on that wall.
Wow.
Yours, and yours. And so that was important. That
Obviously very important. Was she like other mums? If there were not a lot of women going to university at the time and getting a degree. Did you feel that she was proud of that aspect of who she was, or was it something that made her a bit different from other people around her?
That's a good question, because I bet you every child in the world thinks their mom is very different,
Yeah.
because they're your mom.
Right.
You know, it's your mom.
Sure.
But I mean, she was so wonderful, and she was so able to fit into everyone's world. And we just thought that was totally normal, that
Sure.
people would want to discuss things and talk about issues and read books. And I always remember she went to a French club every Monday afternoon. And so she did a lot of things that we thought were normal, and on reflection may not have been.
So what do you think would have happened if you'd said to your parents, no, I've decided I don't want to go to university?
You know, until I was in grade 8, and
Yes.
it's interesting because my daughter is now in grade 8, and
Right.
you know, we measure our lives with our children, with our parents, with our, you know, that's who we are.
Sure.
But until I was in grade 8, I didn't know that there were people who chose not to go to university.
Yes.
I really didn't know it was an option.
Yes.
So I don't think it truly was ever something that occurred to me.
Sure, because it was just part of your growing up. That was just an aspect of your life.
Absolutely.
You were going to become a professional in some capacity.
Well, you knew you were going to university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't matter how long you were there. You were definitely going.
Yeah.
And that picture was going up on the wall.
Yeah, for sure.
So then tell me about, you played an instrument as well as a child.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What did
we
you play?
all played piano.
Okay.
But then as we got older, various other instruments became interesting to us. And I played violin, I played viola. I actually put myself through university playing viola.
And that's what I was going to ask, because you obviously were talented enough at it that you played for the London Symphony Orchestra.
I know, isn't that wonderful?
That's really impressive.
That was so much fun. It was wonderful. And I had a full schedule at university.
Right.
Again, it never occurred to me not to take the full course load as well as do the work. So it just, it was a full, very busy life.
Do you think that it helped you to have so much work that you just really had to structure yourself very carefully? I mean, you knew that you had deadlines to meet and obviously, concerts to play, so that you had to be very concerted in your efforts to schedule yourself? Or do you find, looking back, that you wish you'd had more free time to be just a university kid?
Well, that's such a great question, because I think the structuring was essential, and you certainly, like, doing the triage of work and life comes very naturally to me. The big pieces get dealt with first, and the essentials get dealt with first. So it really helped, although I must say I mortified my husband when I told him I'd never gone to a football game. But I remember looking out when I was practicing and seeing all these kids going to the stadium. So I missed going to a football game. I've since
gone to some?
I've since been trained by my husband as to how it works and all those great things. But yeah, I think I shocked him, actually. But you do what matters to you at the time.
Right.
And I'm sure the quarterback for the football team didn't go to many of the chamber music concerts.
True enough.
And he may be now the best supporter of the arts imaginable.
Yeah.
So I think, we all come to different things at different times in our lives.
Talk to me about what it was like to play for the London Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, it was just so fabulous. And of course, I went to Western, and my and quite by accident, because I'd been at the Banff School of Fine Arts for master classes, and I studied with Ralph Aldrich, who was a professor at University of Western Ontario. And I came home and I told my parents, I have to go to Western. Now, at the time, I think I thought it was in Thunder Bay or somewhere.
I was going to say, because it's a bit of a distance.
I had no concept where it was, but I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. That's what I had to do. And
what did your parents say?
Well, initially, I think they thought I had a screw loose, and there was no way that would be possible, and blah, blah, blah. But I think the benefit for me was I was the last of the line.
Okay.
And I had been sent to the Banff School of Fine Arts when I was 16, so I had a few years to work them into this idea and to keep going back and to actually check a map and find out where it was. So it all worked out. It all worked out, and I was able to live that dream. And again, it was education.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
that
so
was
they were
my
supportive
parents.
of it.
Yeah, always so supportive.
And are all of your siblings as accomplished as you are musically?
Oh, yes, everybody. Well, my sister played in the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, my gosh.
And she actually got the Maitland-Steinkoff Scholarship and also played in the symphony while she went through university.
That's really incredible. What an accomplished family. Your parents must have been quite something.
Well, it's funny. The memory of music for me is not, it's not hard work. It's pure joy. And when you play piano, you practice and you're alone. And when you play a stringed instrument, you laugh and you play and you enjoy the company of others, and you're a team and you work so hard, and you can't put that note in the wrong place. Because the saxophones are counting on you, or the clarinets are counting on you, or the violins go before the violas, and it's that working together piece that comes with it, and the celebration.
I have never thought of music in that way. That's such an interesting way to describe it.
Oh, well, and even my, I have a wonderful friend who invited me to join her quartet, and I'm still at the point
Here in Ottawa?
No, it was in Winnipeg.
Okay.
It was a few years back.
Yes.
And we're both, right now in our lives, we're both a little bit too busy.
Yeah.
But that's something I look forward to. And we would play Christmas carols or play just easy Mozart quartets, and it was fun. It was really fun.
Wow.
To get together. And again, it's so social.
Yeah.
Because you're making music together.
Well, and you'd need that social aspect since you weren't hanging out at the football games.
Well, exactly.
So what did you decide to study then at Western?
Well, I studied music. I was in performance, and I was so fortunate. I got a scholarship for, a bursary for master class with Mr. Aldrich, Dr. Aldrich, May and June. And I thought, and that was right after first year, and I thought, oh, first year was such a load, such an incredible amount of work and study. So I thought I'd just take one course and knock it off, and whatever was offered in intersession. Well, I took Business 20 and it just clicked, and it was so easy and it was so obvious and it was so absolutely logical to me. It was so wonderful. And then at the same time, I'd been riding my bicycle with my viola on my back, which I always did, and I went over a railway track and I pinched a nerve in my arm and my fingers went numb for a whole day. And I sort of started thinking, wow, as long as I have my brain, I can do anything, but I'm really counting on those fingers. So it was all part of the personal epiphany of being 18,
Right.
And so I remember talking to my mom about that long and hard. And
what did she say?
She said, well, you know what? What's the harm? If you want to take business, take it. Take all the prerequisites. And it's light baggage to carry. If it's the wrong education, it can't hurt.
Right.
There is no wrong education. So I did that, and I confess to I was always a reasonably good student. I was a very good student, but I struggled with that calculus course because I'd only had grade 12 calculus. I'd taken a year off basically because I was in performance and studying counterpoint and harmony, not calculus.
Right.
Plus, there wasn't grade 13 in Winnipeg or in Manitoba at that time. So I remember going to Dr. Ditter, and bless his soul, I think I was annoying him. And
was this at Western?
It was at Western.
Okay.
It was like all the other, economics, I just loved it. It was so
Right.
easy and logical again, and business 257. Why I remember these numbers, I can't understand. Really? Anyway.
You're the person I want to be stuck with sometime when we need to remember phone numbers. So,
I'm good at that too.
Yeah.
But I really didn't get the calculus instantly. So I think I was annoying him, and he said, well, you'll have to do that tonight. And I said, well, I'm playing in the symphony tonight, but I can do that tomorrow. And he said, you're playing in the symphony? And then he said, my wife and I go to the symphony. And I said, where are your seats? So that night, I tucked my viola under my arm, and I went up in my long blacks. I met his wife, and they were passionate supporters of the arts, and just wonderful people.
And I hope he just gave you a big A+.
Well, you know what? I got 76. It was the lowest mark I ever got, and I was so proud of it. So I was so proud of it. But he gave me a lot of help, and I remember that to this day.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, found that we had something in common when I didn't know that we did.
So tell me about the business aspect. That's what you eventually did. You got your degree, and
I got all my prerequisites, and then went through business school, and then I became a chartered accountant.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Because you love numbers.
Well, and again, it was it just came naturally, and it was something that has helped me in everything I've done ever in my entire career, and quite frankly, I serve on the Public Accounts Committee, and this is a chartered accountant's dream come true.
I bet it is.
Like it's just, I feel so lucky. I really am lucky to be on that committee. So it's a privilege, and every single job, I only practiced about. I moved into tax. I practiced tax for a while, and then I realized that I really wasn't crazy about busy season, and I just wanted to work all the time.
Yeah.
And plus, busy season was right before my birthday, and it was always personally most inconvenient.
Fun.
So you know what? You change. I went into industry, went into government. I had various things, but being a chartered accountant has always been so helpful to me.
Yeah.
Always. So it was very useful.
Tell me how you made this transition then into the political sphere. I mean, you've obviously come from a household where people talked a lot, and you were encouraged to be aware of what was going on and to be educated. But it doesn't sound like you came from necessarily a very political background.
Not at all.
So how did you get involved?
Well, my son was in grade 3. My daughter was, I guess she would be about 2. And there was a little problem in the school. And a lot of the moms and dads were very concerned about it. And I was the one that got everybody talking. We talked to the teacher, we talked to the principal, we talked to the superintendent. There was another father and I who had actually registered ourselves as a delegation to speak to the board of trustees.
Wow.
You know, because we were doing all the steps and
Right.
respectfully involving everyone and wanting to bring the plight of our children,
Yes.
you know, because nobody cares more about your
Absolutely.
baby than you do,
Right.
and you want to do the best always for your children. So those were the parents. We solved the problem. We got everybody talking to each other, and so it was a positive environment for the children. And when the school trustee position came open, it was the November 2000 election. November 28th, my phone started going off the hook saying, Joyce, we'll work for you. We'll put a sign up. You've got to do this. So it had never occurred to me. And Catherine, I had never occurred to me to be a politician. And then I started thinking about it. And much as the transition from music to business, or any transition we make in life, from high school to university, from nursery school to kindergarten, you know, these are big steps always.
Right.
And I just thought, why not? I'm going to try it. And so I won. And there were 9 people competing for the job. And I just worked at it and sort of thought logically, what would I want to hear as a parent?
Right.
And it's funny, you know, because
And this was for the school board?
the Winnipeg School
Right.
Division. Yeah.
Right.
And it was a privilege to serve there as a trustee for 10.5 years. I enjoyed it so much. And
Did you have to give up your regular job to do that work?
Oh, no.
You do it in addition?
Oh, I did it in addition.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I was a chartered accountant. I worked by day. At one point,
And by night you were at
by
the
night
symphony.
I was a Cape Crusader for public education. It was wonderful, and sometimes fully charged. And you always think back and say, "Oh gosh, did I do enough with the kids, or did I?" You know, because I think we as women always assess, well, can I really do this? But you know what? I hope we always brought the cookies to the classroom when they were supposed to go, and I hope we always had fun. And my children are turning out beautifully and wonderfully, and I'm so privileged to have them. And I hope that I'm a good role model, that when you see something or an area in life where you can contribute, that you step up and you do it.
Yeah.
And you don't always wait to know how, because the how comes to you. You learn by doing so often in life.
Have you seen your approach to life impacting your own children's approach to life?
Well, I hope so. They're 20 and 13 now, and so they've got a lot more life. But they're just, they're thirsty for knowledge, and they're keen. They live in the present, which is wonderful. What more could we ask for our children?
Tell me about the age gap between them. 20 and 13 is brave to have a second child.
Well, you know what?
Point.
It's worked out perfectly for us, and you know, you don't always plan these things in life, and we are blessed to have these 2 children, and we have always said that our first child got 6 years as an only child, and now our youngest, who's 13, and her brother's away at university, is having her only child experience, and it's kind of fun.
That's actually wonderful, isn't it?
I know, and it's phenomenal for both of them at different ways, you know, at different ends. She was just looking at some old family footage of the Easter Bunny hunt, because the Easter Bunny in our house always left rhyming clues around, and it was taped one year, and her brother was 13 or 14 and probably just wanting to sleep, you know, those teenage years, and he was being a really good sport. So her father very wisely said, you know, that's interesting. You're 13 now, sweetie, and you don't have a little brother or sister that is waking you up when you know, and so, you know, that give and take in life, it's worked wonderfully for us.
And how do you manage to balance the busy career that you have now as a federal MP with also having a 13-year-old at home?
Well, I'm married to a saint. My life partner, Darryl, and he always has been a partner. And when I was elected as a school trustee, a few things changed in our little world. My son was 9, and my daughter was 3, and a lot of things changed because I was out. Usually, I mean, I could have been out 5 nights a week. We always said 3 nights a week, except at graduation time. You know, then you can do more. But Darryl made things happen, and AJ, our daughter, has never missed a dance class, and unless she wasn't able to go for other reasons. But it's I have a wonderful partner.
You know, I want to talk to you also about your decision to run federally, because I think that you had a really interesting race, and you weren't necessarily counted on to win. So what was the decision behind going into it, even knowing that it was an uncertainty?
Well, so much of life is an uncertainty, but I very much appreciate there were a lot of people who didn't think we could do that. Part of it for me was I thought I could, at least I thought I should try. Because, and forgive me, but I mean, because I had been a Liberal at one point, briefly. The reckless spending, it just really disenchanted me. And once you have children, you don't want their futures to be mortgaged. So I was pretty motivated. There was still another candidate in the position, and I was just motivated. I was going to help. I was going to make something happen. And we were, again, talking around the table.
Like the dinner table, basically?
Oh, always, yeah. Okay. Just how we're going to help and whatever. So then the candidate dropped out, and for personal reasons, and the election was declared the next day, and I didn't get into the race right away. But you talk to your family, you tell your children, well, you have to try something. You can't just say no, that's not going to work. You give yourself a chance to try it. Well, so I walked my talk.
Exactly.
I walked my talk. And I was so encouraged.
Were they supportive?
Oh, incredibly. And I value that my daughter and my husband were very much, as we analyzed decisions around our dining room table, just, well, but this could happen and that, and it's very important that you have, the devil's advocate in your life. But my son said, Mom, you're perfect for this. You've got to do this. All those people, when you went to Safeway and we laughed at you, we ridiculed you because everybody in the neighborhood was talking to you.
Now you can get paid for it.
Well, he said, Mom, you're perfect for the job. You have to do it. You have to try.
Are you glad you did?
Oh, I'm thrilled that I did. I'm thrilled to have the chance to contribute to my community and to contribute to, it's a pretty humbling experience. Being a member of Parliament, you realize that many people have gone before you and they made a difference too, and you want to take that very seriously. But I am so grateful that I did walk the talk, and I am so grateful that that my family made that possible, because nobody can do this without a team effort. And then I was just embraced when I said, I could do that. I was just welcomed into the Conservative Party like a family. And I can't say enough about the kindness of so many people who helped me, who walked with me, because really I had 31 days to get elected. And
I'm so glad to chat with you. I'm so glad this new path has been positive and
that
you're enjoying it. And I appreciate in your busy schedule that you take the time to be here today as well.
Oh, my pleasure. My absolute
delight
pleasure.
to chat with you, to hear your stories.
Well, thank you so much.